The Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast is not safe for work. Some say that infinite monkeys given infinite time would eventually produce this podcast, but I bet 1,000 monkeys could get it done in half the time. Here's another episode of Board Gaming's most podcast of all time, The Mile High Game Guys.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And this episode is sponsored by Gray Fox Games.
That's the name.
That is the name. Got it. Figured it out. In this episode, we are going to talk about board games.
Indeed.
Probably at some point.
Yes.
Who knows?
But first, we have a new intro thing
Yes.
on this one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we need to give a huge shout out to Jake from Draft Mechanic,
Mhm.
fellow member of Punchboard Media and fellow sponsee of Gray Fox Games.
Yeah.
Sponsored podcast.
Yes.
With our unofficial slogan,
yes, with
Mile
our-
High Game Guys, the most podcast of all time. The board gaming's most podcast.
Yes,
Of all
Board
time.
Gaming's most podcast. Yeah, no, that was fantastic.
Mhm.
Jake sent those over to us yesterday, and we listened to them and immediately just started dying laughing. Apparently, they're
Now he's using not singular forms because we do have another one
yes,
too.
he sent us two, and then he messaged me and was like, "There's a third one that I had in my brain that I forgot to record, so that will happen at some point."
Yeah.
Is, like what he said to me. So maybe at some point from Jake will actually turn into some point.
Just
for us.
really go high pitch on
Some
that.
point? Let's go some point. Fantastic. We're in fine form tonight. The reason we were in fine form,
Because we started super early.
we started really late because we got a really fancy new piece of audio equipment, and I set it all up and troubleshooted it yesterday and was having no problems.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately upon Zach and Jeff entering the studio, it began to act up, and we had to troubleshoot and solve some things.
Well, Adrian troubleshooted for like an hour while me and Jeff are doing something.
We watched a lot of SNL skits.
Yep.
With the dong lover himself on
Mhm.
SNL.
Oh, yeah.
Good
Yeah.
old dong lover.
And then Adrian is just like, "Oh, we'll just use the old one." I'm like, "All right, let me pull up my phone, Google one thing." Adrian tried this. He tries it, and then it works.
Well, to be fair, I tried like 4 other things in conjunction with that.
I mean, that's just hearsay. Did you see him doing other things?
I wholly believe he never said he was doing those things
Exactly.
until after it worked.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
But it may have ultimately been the Wi-Fi card in the laptop.
That was, I think, at least part of it. That was one of the things I did on my end while also trying out Zach's one suggestion of adjusting the buffer size.
Mhm.
I don't know. Audio technical talk. I'm sure that's highly exciting for our listeners.
Oh.
As much as all our other talk is.
Well, fair enough. Point being, though, I mentioned that we have this new fancy audio thing, so I would like maybe from some of you some feedback about whether you think it sounds better or worse or too loud or too quiet. Like, let me know where this sounds on the final product
Because you
so we
clearly
can
will.
adjust.
Because you clearly will not download and listen to the episode yourself.
I mean, I will, but I also want to hear from the fans.
I mean, you have bad hearing, so he's gonna be
Exactly.
like, "It sounds
Mhm.
horrible," and it's like,
I can't hear anything.
Just a
Yeah.
constant ringing.
yeah.
Also, the problem when I download and listen to an episode, I really only hear one voice. It's just I hear myself talking, and then I hear womp 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 womp.
And then you weeping.
Mhm. Yep.
Oh.
And now it starts.
Yes.
The weeping.
Anyway, so we got back on track as far as playing board games.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually can talk about board games that we've played.
Yeah.
So Zach, would you like to start with what games you've been playing recently?
I would like to start with the fact that I watched Infinity War 2 more times over the weekend.
Fantastic transition there. Highly approve.
I ended up watching with other people that happened to just be watching it, and I was like, you know what, I'll join you. And then that was on Friday.
Was this just random people you met in the lobby?
Yeah.
Zach was just hanging out like, are you about to watch Infinity War?
Can I come?
Can I come?
No, this was my old roommate. He was looking to see it, and I was like, yeah, I'll come see it. We got dinner and stuff like that. And then on Saturday, on Saturday morning, I told our friends Nick and Megan, I was like, well, I saw Infinity War, and it held up a second time. And then they're like, oh shit, we still need to see that. And then they're like, we got to drop a car nearby a movie theater. We're just gonna go see it then at 1:30. And I was like, I could see that again.
I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
Well, one more time won't hurt.
Yeah. And it still held up the third time too. And I think it might have actually gone one higher past Thor Ragnarok for me.
All right.
So
Where was Thor Ragnarok before?
3.
3?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is now 2?
No.
Or this is 3.
This is 3
and
now.
They pushed
Yeah.
Thor down to 4.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, remind
what-
us again, you did your list. Or
Mhm.
at least, well, you shared your whole whiteboard list
Oh yeah.
on the Slack channel.
And it's great because I was like, man, I'm gonna get torn to shreds because people hate other people's opinions. Apparently,
Mhm.
Immediately.
Yep.
People were like, nah,
No.
Zach, this is bullshit.
Zach's wrong on this, and this.
But you know what you're not wrong on?
What's that?
Incredible Hulk being dead last.
Mhm.
Yes, Incredible Hulk belongs solidly at spot 0.
Yep.
Where was it on the Slack?
It was
It
a
was-
while back.
It was a while back.
Oh,
You're going to have to go deep into Slack history.
I have no hope.
True. No hope whatsoever.
So don't go looking for that now, everyone else.
Zach will just have to reshare it, and this time we'll actually pin it. So,
Mhm.
Zach,
Oh yeah, so it'll be like,
do you still have it?
yeah.
The whiteboard's still written? You haven't erased it? Or you probably have the picture
I
on your
have it.
phone?
I have the picture on my phone. I put it horizontal on something, and so my cat has been like, this is where I want to lay and just get all this shit off of the whiteboard.
And onto the cat.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right on. I'm glad to hear it stands up to repeat viewings
Yes.
because Megan's birthday is Wednesday when this episode is dropped,
Mm-hmm.
and we are going to the local drive-in movie
Mhm.
theater. Hopefully, the weather will be nice, and they are showing Black Panther, Infinity War, and then Super Troopers 2.
Infinity War 2. They're showing Jesus
Yes,
Christ.
they got an early screening of So it's Black Panther, Infinity War, and then Super Troopers 2. And so that's going to be just a
Is it
fantastic
like
evening of movies.
All right.
3 movies?
Yes.
All right.
Wow.
So I'm just
$8 a person.
All right,
That's not bad.
we're just
No,
going to go ahead
that's
and
great.
immediately do an aside to that. I was giving a Lyft ride to 2 old, rich white women, and they were talking about their book clubs and movie clubs. And the first one was like, the first one I had to see was, The Isle of Dogs, the Wes Anderson movie.
Mhm.
It's like, it was really cute. It had some good story and stuff like that. And I'm sure that you could use symbolism to replace the dogs with humans. And I'm like, no shit. And in the back of my mind, I'm saying that, but then the next one goes, yeah, the movie that we had to see, it was called Super Troopers 2.
Oh my God. What the fuck?
and I just about, I was literally biting my hand at one point. I was just like, I can't say anything. And then like, the language was so coarse and the subject matter. It was one of the first movies I ever walked out of. And they're like, is it about, the first one was just like, is it about superheroes? And then she started to explain the plot. And I was like, I would have bet $1 million that was not the movie that you would have seen at a movie club for rich white people.
I want to know how that happened.
I don't know, but it blew my fucking mind.
Like, we're well past April, so it's not like it was a prank.
Yeah.
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 Enough of that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's actually talk about those board games that we've been playing that I mentioned, I don't know, like in 30 minutes ago or however long we've been talking.
I'm going to call it 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, but probably about 5.
Yep.
I mean, we have a stopwatch right in front of us that is
correct.
And timestamps.
clearly does not show that 30 minutes have existed since we started this.
And timestamps.
Yeah.
and
Verified.
timestamps, yeah,
Verified.
all those things. Jesus, Zach, what board games have you been playing now that you're back to playing board games?
I haven't played that many, but I did get to play 2. The first one was on Wednesday. I played another game of Pandemic Rising Tide.
Okay,
That was you, me, and Andrew,
yes.
the hater. And we had we had 7 storms, and then we had 1 other objective we had to complete. But I made sure it wasn't one of the bullshit objectives. I definitely wasn't. I wasn't gonna be like just randomly pick any of them. I was just like pick any of them except this one fucking one that just gets rid of all of these. The not dams. What are they called?
Dykes?
Dikes.
Yeah,
The dikes. And gets rid of a bunch of those the orange dikes, and then you have to have them all built at the end of the game. I was like that. I remember doing that one previously, and I was like, "Fuck this one!" And it actually, I'm glad we didn't do it because orange got hit hard.
yeah. Orange got hit real
Oh,
hard.
real
we,
hard.
we would have definitely lost if we'd played with that one.
Yeah, but it's still a fun game. It's still we won that one though, which
Rare.
I think it was your first time winning, Adrian.
Yeah, that was my first time ever winning.
I think it was I want to say second.
Okay.
Still fun. It's always not like, obviously with those sort of games, like quarterbacking can be an issue unless you have 3 very loud personalities.
Which it was you, me, and the hater.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like nobody was telling somebody what else to do.
Yeah.
If it was like, if I didn't want to do that, fuck you, agent. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that one was fun. It's still a fun game. It's still my second favorite of the pandemic ones.
That's fair. I think it's my favorite.
Yeah. I know it's you and Andrew's favorite because it changes so much of the pandemic formula.
Correct.
But I still like that Iberia has the core of that formula while still adding to it and making enough changes to where it feels different enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. You said you played 2 games.
Yeah. The other one, which I'm going to assume that Jeff will also talk about, was the Imperial Assault for Star Wars.
Yes.
You have only just been playing the.
I've never played the app.
Yes.
I'd played one intro mission with the Overlord, like I want to say 3 years, whenever it first came out.
Yeah, I played it forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
And so this one, because we actually ended up playing 3 missions of it.
Mm-hmm. That it's more and more drunk as it went along.
Yeah. Well, two and a half of those, I was part of the
crew.
And then the last half of the last one, I'm going to control the Imperials because
Adrian showed up.
Yes. And I was just going to bounce, but then it's like, here, you could just play these. And I was like, oh, that's weird that he's just letting me play. It made sense after the game. I was like, now I understand why he was like, Zach, you make decisions now, please.
I think it was the 3rd bottle of wine that really hit at that point.
But I definitely enjoyed playing it. The ones that we did. In those 1v all games, I definitely don't like playing as the one guy.
The Overlord.
Yeah. I always prefer to play as the all and the more cooperative part.
It seemed like this one, since it's been so long since I've played the actual boxed game, that it seems like I don't know. It seems like the Overlord doesn't have that much to do beyond like controlling just the minions.
I think the way I remember it does, because this is one where the Overlord isn't necessarily trying to just tell a fun story. Like they're actually trying to win.
You're trying to win,
but you don't really have that many like fun abilities like you would in something like Mansions of Madness.
No, there was 2 cards I could have used that never ended up using because like one was after I could have had one person be focused once, and then like something else was like the healing card or something like that.
Okay.
But never really had a chance to really use it.
Yeah,
and also remember that I had those cards.
Oh, that helps.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. But the Overlord one I did, it ended up working well. It would have helped better if everybody sort of knew a little bit more about what was going on.
Indeed.
Not just you guys, but me.
Yes.
Correct.
But it did work out well that I was able to pull you out of a base just for the Vader and shit to just pop in the middle and be like, "What's up, bitches?"
Yeah, that worked real well. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. But it's not, I don't.
Do you like it better with the app or the?
I like it better with the app.
You do?
I do.
Okay. Is it because it's fully cooperative then, or you just feel it's smoother with the app, or
basically all of those things?
Okay.
I mean, you do miss a lot in the campaign with the Imperials being controlled by a person because you can, like you can make it to where the Imperials do more logical, harmful things.
Like
if they want to move towards and target someone, and they can't see that person, they're just going to move towards and shoot the closest like enemy target. Instead of just like, I'm gonna run a bunch. I'm gonna run a bunch more.
Right. Like the one that we played, you guys were all outside, and then you had to run in to defeat those guys. And so first thing I did was move the ATST in, between you and the door to slow you guys down.
Yeah.
I don't think the computer would have been like, I should do this.
Yeah, because it always wants to move within like a certain amount of spaces away from someone, and the scenarios I think are a little better in the campaign so far than versus the app, but the app seemed to have a little bit more. I don't know. There was a mission where there was a lot more like non-combat stuff to do.
No, okay.
Which was interesting. Which I'm not sure this does.
Like a lot more of those tests and things like that?
Yeah,
or, okay.
like there there was like no testing at all in this.
No.
And the other ones had a lot more cool ability tests or things that would happen every couple turns to be like, oh, it's really hot out, and you can take like strain and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And it always seemed like there was a lot more enemies in general in the app than there was in the campaign.
Maybe because someone isn't controlling it, it's like the enemies aren't 100% efficiency. So
Yeah, and it seems like there's more enemies coming
Right.
in the app by far,
Okay.
which was cool.
Right.
Do you feel that even with the increased like checks and things, and with the more enemies, does the app speed up gameplay?
I think so. By quite a bit. It's I don't know. It's generally more fun on the app
Okay.
than the campaign has been.
Okay, interesting.
It's a lot more dry and mechanical than the app. The app builds a lot more life to the game
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
because you get a lot more text, a lot more
Mhm.
story. You get like whole big sheets of like fluff in the background of like you're back on the ship and you're talking to the captain, and then you're making choices of what your conversation is.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And
that
and then
sounds
you're
pretty cool.
and then you're doing tests on those conversations that can affect other stuff.
Oh, okay. That totally makes sense then.
Yeah, and then there's like different side missions, but I mean they're so separate content wise that there's absolutely room for both. But
Well-
I just generally like the app one so far.
Well, and I
Right.
wonder too, like we're playing the original missions that were like in the original release.
Mhm.
And that might just be a product of the fact that it's been like 3 years
Yeah,
since then.
like, so I wonder if some of the later missions that came out right around the time that the app was about to be
Mhm.
released, if some of those have a lot more story
Yeah,
in
Yeah.
them.
there is just so much more content in outside the app. I think the one big problem with the app is there's like 5 missions,
Oh, okay.
maybe 6, and all that extra expansions and stuff that you own
Mm-hmm.
hasn't seemed to add any new or different missions to the game. It will take the monsters and creatures and
Mhm.
extra troopers and stuff and make them spawnable
Right.
in like any of those scenarios. But we haven't noticed any real differences yet.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
We would have to play again. So we played through the campaign without any of the big box expansions, and Ant got the Jabba one, but it didn't really add any new missions or anything. From
Okay.
what the little bit we just hit skip
Oh.
a lot after the tutorial and
Oh,
tried
with
to see
the
if
app? Okay.
it opened up anything. But it has not.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think the like player specific side missions are a lot cooler in the campaign because there wasn't any in the app
Oh, okay.
that I was aware of.
Gotcha.
Like your side missions you would do would be like, I'm gonna go do this mission with Han Solo and Chewie, and I get to use Chewie on my next mission as like a helper dude.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right on. Jeff, did you play anything else besides Imperial Assault?
I did play the Secret Hitler, full 10 player. Secret Hitler is still a fun game. We had
Was it with the Trump like extra?
no,
okay.
it was you know, I kind of came in super late.
Uh-huh.
No, it was definitely Lizard People.
Okay.
Yeah. Still a great game. I think we had the liberal policies go all the way to 1 before winning.
Oh, so they went.
They had like 4 of the 5 they
Right.
needed, and then the fascists came back and went all the way, like
Oh, wow.
fucking full streak.
Damn.
Yeah. Everyone was voting pretty well. Bob had picked out exactly who all the fascists were.
what?
Almost immediately. Manny was Hitler, and then I don't think we elected Hitler. I think we just won on straight like fascist policies.
Oh, but you're a fascist.
Yeah, I was a fascist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figure when you said we won.
Yes. But we played the majority of the liberal policies. I think almost all of them. 3 of the 4 that got played down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And when that third one got played by one of us, I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Stop this.
Stop it!"
And they reveal a double agent card.
Yeah. Still like Secret Hitler a lot, and I should probably get that component replaced in my copy.
Oh,
so
you
I
still
can...
haven't done that
No,
yet?
I
Oh,
never
yeah.
got. I was always looking for when it would hit retail, and then it finally hit retail, and then I was just like, "Oh, okay, maybe I can get a replacement part now." But c'est la vie.
Just go up to him at Gen Con and be like, I lost a piece.
Yeah.
Right.
Push everybody out of the way.
Yeah. So in between me wandering around in between play sessions of the mind, which we always play at all times, just assume we're talking about that at all times.
Yeah, yeah.
It's basically the new Terraforming Mars. We're talking about it even when we're not talking about it.
Except when we're talking about Terraforming Mars, which I'm about to. They were setting up a 5-player game of Terraforming Mars in the back. Lance and Leander, some newer regulars to the game night.
Lance is a listener of the show.
Indeed. It was their first time playing, I believe, and so I was sort of helping them out choose their starter corporations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they didn't have starter corporations, but they're two.
They didn't have the beginner corporations.
No, exactly. Like which ones were better, and then like which cards were good to start with those.
Right.
So he had the corporation that had the Jupiter
one
on it, where anyone plays a Jupiter card, you get an income.
Yep.
And he had a bunch of Jupiter cards in his hand that maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, you could just play that because even with this, you still have like a good advantage.
Right, yeah.
And you don't have to worry about anyone like spite drafting it out of you. And then Lance had the Thermal Corporation, the one that can use thermal units as
heat. Or as money, yeah.
Yeah. Wes was in on this game, and I had kind of looked at Wes's hand, and unfortunately, Wes had the Soletta that would have given Lance a good advantage.
Yeah, that's a great starting card if you have that heat company.
And I think everyone did pretty well. I think Leander ended up in second place on his very first game.
He finished second. Yep.
Yeah, which was very impressive. I kind of wandered back through every once in a while. I'd be like, oh, how you doing over here? How you doing over here? I distinctly remember just telling Lance, it's like, oh, you have protected habitats in your hand? Keep that card. Whether you have it or not, make sure no one else gets it, because whether you can use plants or bacteria or whatever, who cares? I think Wes ended up with the +4, -4 cards.
Yes.
His
corp was +2, and then he got the +2, -2 card.
Yes.
Oh, that's not...
yeah. And early.
Whenever a corporation specializing in something gets something that is also that, like when the city people get the things that are like, when you build cities, you get these things.
Lance got that one. I was like, don't let anyone, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
But he had livestock and predators was out, and the protected habitats were in neither of those camps. So it was just constant war of eating things. I think there ended up being some card that took a bunch of units off of predators by the end of the game. I don't remember what that card is though. Enhanced virus or something like that.
Kind of a bullshit card, but
yeah, but the predators, they engineered a virus to attack the predators.
Yeah, makes sense.
It was the aliens.
Yeah. You guys and those 2 cards that you just think are too bullshit, man. That and the Raiders.
Yeah, because those cards do nothing positive for you. They only attack other people.
But the Raiders, don't you get the goods?
I think I keep Raiders in because Raiders is steal.
Yeah,
so stealing is different. But there's 2 cards I took out. One of them is virus because it's just kill a bunch of plant life or animals from somebody, and it's a lot. And then there's another one that's an early one that's force somebody to lose either this, or this, and you're just forcing somebody to lose something, and
I think it's just sabotage.
Yeah, it might be sabotage. I can't remember, but yeah, I took him out because Care Bear, not a Care Bear. I just don't like completely pointless meanness.
I mean.
Because they're almost never used against the person who's actually in the lead or doing well. And then especially the one of them, it almost always gets used to take out somebody's plants too early, and then it slows down green production, and that drags the game on. I'm all about little changes that actually speed up Terraforming Mars, because that game can, at times, play too long.
I don't like when you boost a rating after every turn in the base game.
Huh?
Where you just raise one of them, like the Venus rules.
Oh, you don't like that?
No.
Oh, that I pretty much always play with that now.
No.
That has become a mandatory variant.
I think it makes the game go too quick, to the point of I don't think the game is balanced around for this game to go that fast.
With the base stuff, I would agree with that.
I haven't had that problem. I feel like it plays just fine.
We're just gonna put an asterisk on every one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's an official variant. So
on the Venus expansion,
no, they have put out in the FAQ that is now an official variant for the base game as well.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe it either.
Well,
podcast vote?
Yeah.
All right.
God damn you guys. It doesn't work that way. You can't vote away objective truth.
You know what?
Yeah.
This is a new America?
Yeah.
Goddamn fake news.
Mm-hmm.
So that was me talking about a game I didn't actually play.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Here's another one. I bought the Mystic Vale Conclave box. technically you bought it, and then I gave you money
Yes.
afterwards,
Yeah.
and then received said box.
No, you received said box, then you gave me the money.
It's true. The box is large.
That's an understatement.
It is close to
Gloomhaven,
Gloomhaven
yeah.
size.
Because they wanted to leave room for a lot of cards in the future.
Yeah. It's all vertical storage where the base game is horizontal card storage. It comes with the new day and night mechanic, which seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
It comes with like spirit trackers for all 3 different spirits, but enough for 6 players. Because I guess it's hard to keep track of which spirits you have.
With all 4 technically, because the wild as well.
Oh, it has wild.
Yeah.
Okay. And it comes with some rules.
And it comes with a shitload of dividers that if you
Yes.
want to break up everything down to like all the tier 1s for each expansion, you can do that.
Except there's no component list in any of the original manuals. You have to go online and look for a components list.
Yep.
There's no expansion mark on any of the
What?
cards. So you have to actually go to a
Jesus
component list
fucking
and look for all
Christ.
the names if you want to break it out by expansion.
Yeah.
How did they not have any foresight with that? Like
Yeah.
like people have done these type of games before. Like that's a known thing you do.
Yeah. Like where the like cost is, like but in that little green bar that they all have, there could be a little expansion mark in
Yep.
there.
There's plenty of places for an expansion mark.
I mean, you can tell the expansion on a couple cards that have the new mechanic or something, but yeah, if they give you dividers to split up by expansion, but good luck actually doing that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weak sauce.
Yes. Also, it comes with 1 piece of foam, which is absurd. Like, if you need to, I don't know why they even bothered putting 1 piece of foam in that box.
That seems like you have to put an effort to just put 1 piece in.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a foam ration going on right now.
There's foam shortages.
Yeah.
All over the place.
it-
Ever since Legendary just took all the foam.
Yeah.
Yes. The foam doesn't even fit very well in the box.
Mm-mm.
It's not like it's nice fitting into the trays. So yeah, it's and then and the day and night like bars that you put together to like divide the board don't actually fit in the box. Like sideways, you have to actually just lay them on top over everything.
Yeah.
And then that's how at an angle, and that's how it's stored.
The day and night just doubles the size, the square footage of space taken up.
Yes, it turns it into 2 games of Mystic Vale.
It is gigantic.
Yeah. That,
Oh dear.
And then there's little day-night tokens that shift to like opposite, like they just go clockwise every turn, so that like both of those people are activating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 2 people going at the same time, just picking from 2 different full boards.
I need to play a
like
fair
to-
amount of this with your copy,
Mhm.
Jeff. Like try out some of these experiences because I feel like at this point I no longer have the desire to be all in on Mystic Vale.
Yeah.
That's
So I need to
understandable.
lay all of your stuff so I can figure out what exactly I do and don't like in it,
Mhm.
and then buy accordingly.
I am now almost thinking that I want to buy the broken token insert for the original box instead of using the Conclave box.
Do you think it would fit all the expansions?
I mean, the broken token insert would be. I haven't laid eyes on it. I was like, oh, that's stupid. The Conclave box is coming out.
Oh,
Why
I
would
remember how
anyone buy that?
I remember countless times you kept saying that.
I was just,
Yes.
the Conclave box will be the perfect option.
You sweet summer child.
The inserts can like come out. That's nice. It's not all just like in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And they're individual boxes. There's 4 boxes basically.
I don't know.
Yep.
Sorry that didn't meet all of your expectations, Jeff.
Yeah,
Reality just came and cold-cocked you.
that'll happen every other day or so in my life.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, I have also been actually getting some games to the table. At game night, I busted out Concordia. Well, I didn't bust out Concordia.
Someone wanted to bust out Concordia.
Yes. So when I was packing up, like Megan was getting ready for work, and I was sitting there, and like I was sitting on the floor in front of like my 2 Kallaxes. Like I've got the 4x2s, and they're laying side by side up against the back of my couch. And so I was sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall, like scanning from left to right, and then back to the left, and just looking. And Megan comes around the corner. She goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know what game I want to take to game night. Like, I actually want to try playing a game, and I don't know what to take." And we were going down the list and talking about different things, and I almost brought Concordia, but I was like, our copy's still in shrink. It's not even punched, and I'm not going to find anybody to play Concordia with at game night. Like, I'll bring it, and it'll just take up space. Well, I get to game night, and Ben, who's been coming pretty regularly, he comes around the corner. He's like, hey, any of you guys want to play Concordia? I was like, did you bring it? He goes, yeah, I brought it. I'd really like to play. Like, sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely in. Find like 2 more people and then come back to me. And he found Greg and Kyle, who had not played before. And Ben had only played like once with his girlfriend and then like 3 friends of theirs that weren't really gamers. And it was kind of a rough play. So I taught everybody. And I did a really good job of teaching everybody. Such a good job, in fact, that they all beat me pretty solidly. Like, I thought I did a good job jumping out early and getting some good positions and stuff. But then, like, as Jeff wandered around towards the final scoring and we're scoring, we get to, like, the 3rd card to score.
I had wandered around multiple times, wondering why the score track had not moved at all during the whole game.
I honestly, the score track is one of the most useless things in that game because you don't touch it until endgame scoring.
Yes.
So anybody comes by and they're like, oh, it's still 0-0-0-0. Like, you guys do know you're supposed to score points, right? Like, no, there's no scoring during the game. It's all endgame scoring.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's all buying cards to score at the end of the game.
Yes, every card has an endgame scoring condition, and then they might, depending on which card you buy, might affect what things on the board will score for you. But you came around the corner right as Ben, who actually ended up coming in 3rd, scored 80 fucking points off of 1 set of cards.
Which was insane.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It was like, God damn. He didn't score much more than that. I think he finished a little over 100.
Mm-hmm.
I was sub 100.
I think he ended up 3rd.
Yes, he still came in 3rd. And then I'm trying to remember actually who won out of Greg and Kyle. But I know they were pretty close.
It was Greg.
Yeah, it's Greg. It was Greg.
You should have known the answer to that question as soon as you opened your mouth.
Yeah.
I actually don't get to play a lot of games with them.
Not to say that I've seen Kyle win, but it's usually Greg.
But yeah, so we had a lot of fun. I think they both really enjoyed it. And then Ben really did like it, and I know wants to play it more. So.
Oh, I remember I was walking by at one point, and you guys were playing it, and he's like, "Oh, Zach, do you like this game?" I went, "Ha, no," and then I just went away.
It was one of the most dick moments I've ever seen of Zach. It was no, it's just not my type of game. It was, ha, no, and then just leave.
No, never speak to me again.
It's like, sorry for Zach's rudeness. But that, unsurprisingly, playing Concordia at game night took up most of my evening.
It did. It took a lot.
It took like 3 hours, I think. And then I went out and then played Rising Tide, which we already talked about. And was, finally won. Huzzah. And then the highlight of gaming for me this week was on Saturday, Megan and I went up to Heavy Cardboard, and we did this live stream of Noggin the Nog, or
Tales of the
Northlands, the saga of Noggin the Nog. Nick, man, that's a word. That's a mouthful. I agree with Edward. Like, I wish that was shortened up a little bit, but fantastic game. Absolutely loved it. It's great. When I go up on the streams now, I've been on enough of them that a few of the regulars who watch the live stream and participate in the chat know me, and like they comment on my hat choice of whatever episode we're watching. Like, this is the first time in a few months that I went back to my Panama hat that I got in Guatemala. But so people are excited about that. And then I was on the estates not too long ago, and Clay, the owner of Capstone, snaked the victory for me right at the end. So when people are putting their bets for like who was going to win, they're like, Adrian's got a new hat and he's out for revenge after that last second collapse in the estates. Like, I've got Adrian. And enough people were picking me, I was like, oh, God, I'm going to get beat real bad.
You were going to collapse at the last second, like, as is tradition.
But I didn't. I ended up winning by, like, 20 points.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like, and I didn't. I just never got there.
This is
I
never got
the
to
worst.
the point of collapsing.
Yeah.
No, I felt like I did really well. Nick, the designer who I met at Liera, he was in the comments, like, correcting rule things here and there, answering questions for people in the chat, and just progressively getting drunker and drunker. Like, you could see it in his typing. He was having like a little house party with Matt Gertz, the designer of Concordia, actually. They were over like hanging out, watching the stream, and apparently just drinking. And so by the end of it, he drank an entire 6-pack in the like 3 hours of, I don't know.
Whiskey?
I don't know. something
A
that
6-pack of whiskey, Jeff. Come on.
I don't know what they sell at Costco.
I mean, probably. Well, he's in the UK, so
I don't know what they sell
do
at.
they have Costco in the UK?
No, it's in the UK. It's gin.
6-pack of gin.
There you
duh.
go.
Or I was thinking just tall boys of Guinness
Mm,
or some other,
well, we will have to clearly ask that.
English
and get an
ale.
answer.
I don't know. I should have messaged him. But Tony Boydell was in the chat early in the show and making fun of me like crazy.
Good. Okay.
He did this he got on there when the stream first loaded up. He's like, "Oh, look at all those beautiful people." And Adrian. Thanks, Tony.
Adrian is also there.
I'm a fan of this man
yeah,
already.
yeah. It sounds like the stream's going well.
Oh yeah, Tony Boydell is
Good.
tops.
Good.
But-
Good. It's good to see people carrying on the tradition when we're not there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Megan came in second. She did very well, despite the fact she almost fell into the same trap I fell into in the first game, which is you have these little workers, Nogs, and you can dedicate them to sagas, which are the main way that you advance the turn timer. It's semi-cooperative in that you have to, all of you do these sagas to advance a track far enough to you don't lose in 8 rounds. And in the first game, the problem I got into and that she almost did, I dedicated too many to the sagas, and those are a big point score. And so all of a sudden, there's 2 of them available, and if you put too much on one, everybody be like, screw that. If we finish that saga, Megan's going to score like 35 points. Like, fuck that. We won't touch that. And so then all her workers are tied up over there, and she ended up barely being able to finish it on her own and still scored those 35 points. But it just, for too long, she had too many workers tied up over there, and it hurt her in other parts of the game.
I can understand that. There was a game that we played recently where I got put in that position. I don't remember which one it was, but it was 4X. That was it was.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
what it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
'Cause I was the only one pushing the time.
No,
and
that's
so
right.
because of that, everybody else got to do things. So.
Yeah.
But it sounded like she was able to not get caught in that. You said,
Well, she actually, so in the game I played at Liera that I lost so bad, that saga didn't finish, by the end of the game. She ended up finishing it, the last round of the game.
okay,
And so she didn't get quite as many points. She had to take, you can pull workers at any time,
yeah,
but so she had to take some off of it to then finish it.
mm-hmm.
So she lost the points for those ones
Oh,
where
okay.
they were. And each tier that you finish is worth less and less points. So by pulling them from earlier tiers and putting them on a later tier, you're losing points.
Mm-hmm.
So she still scored 30 points, but rather than 39. But really good game. Had an absolute blast. I have it backed on Kickstarter. Paul and I went in together for the deluxe edition with pewter minis and custom wood components for the resources, and
because everything else was sold out by the time you got.
by
to
the
it.
time I got onto it, the deluxe solos were already sold, and there was 2 of the deluxe doubles, and I bought it. I backed for that, and then I immediately was like, "Hey, who wants to split this with me?" And of course, good friend Paul, classy guy Paul, was like, "Yes, I'll split that with you." So really appreciate you splitting that with me, Paul. Thank you for not sticking me with all that, but.
because you'd buy it anyways.
Tales of the Northlands, Sagas of Noggin the Nog, still on Kickstarter. Definitely recommend you go check that out. Like I said, the deluxe copies are all gone, but because of the overwhelming success of the Kickstarter relative to what Nick was expecting, he has added some options to actually get the custom wood components included as an add-on, and then the company that makes the pewter minis will be offering a full set of those at a later date on their website. So you can still basically, get on there, back for the base edition, add on the custom meeples, the custom wood resources, and then later on you can get the pewter minis from the that other company.
Yeah.
All that information's in the Kickstarter. So yeah, that was what I played. It was nice to finally get back into some gaming. And then I also showed up late and jumped into the tail end of Imperial Assault.
Yes.
Yeah, it felt real good to actually get some good games to the table. Right on. Well, I think that wraps up what we've been playing. Jeff, I think that before we move on to news and Kickstarter, though, you have Bloody Minute updates.
I do. 2 weeks in a row? Is it 2 weeks in a row
2
that
weeks
I played
in a row.
Blood Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a real quick one, don't you?
I'm real excited for this one.
So, this game was Orcs on Orcs, the War Bosses versus Rust Fang's Stout Boys. We actually had a generally pretty close team value, for mine being so crazy high, highest in the league. I gave him like 170k in inducements. He ended up with another apothecary and a Bloodweiser keg, so he gets another injury. An apothecary lets you re-roll the injury roll once per game, so he has 2 of those. Lets him do it twice a game. And then he had a Bloodweiser keg, also known as the Bloodweiser Babe in older editions, that gives you a +1 on your knockout rolls every time there's a kickoff. Normally it's a 4+ to come back on. This makes it a 3+. He could have gone for another reroll, but I thought the Apothecary wasn't a bad option, especially for how much Mighty Blow I have that can knock his guys out pretty easily. Game starts off, he receives. I get a perfect defense, which lets me... I would set up first. He would then set up to what my setup is. Perfect defense lets me set up again and change around everything I did, which
was funny because you just kept... Or like, I was there for the first 2
Oh, that's
turns,
right, yeah.
And you just kept moving like this one guy, just like one space back.
I was like, but because I was trying to figure out like if I put him here, if people, I didn't want to leave the middle too open because if someone gets through, then I wouldn't have guys to stop him in a backfield. He definitely goes like a 1-turn touchdown play. He's got a goblin with plus agility, which means he's pretty much doing 2+ on whatever he wants to do. He's definitely focused his team around the 1-turn touchdown throw teammate, which I focused on making that not happen.
Like a smart person, yes.
Yeah. Because I think I'd be able to beat him in any like smash fest.
Right. Yeah.
I had a lot more Mighty Blow. I had a lot more guard.
Yeah, he didn't have much guard or block, right?
No, I mean he's a season 2 team and I'm a season 3 team. So he tries to throw the goblin. There are multiple skill roll. I had to learn throw team. I haven't played against
10 steps.
Yeah,
to throw one person.
Yes.
Apparently,
Correct.
The troll has to roll a really stupid roll, which he needs a 2+. Then he has to roll an always hungry roll, which on a 1 he will try to eat the goblin. If he fails that, then the goblin gets a squirm away roll, and then he will then just drop. Or if he passes, then the troll can just do a pass. The troll gets like a 3+ on the pass or something. It's a weird edge roll for a troll because a troll has agility 2.
Right.
If he tried to pass, I had like tackle zones on him. Tackle zones still count, but he doesn't use his straight. He would normally need a 5+ to do a pass, basically.
Right.
He rolled a 1, which fumbled the goblin.
Yep.
Normally the goblin would also have to make a landing roll, which would be a 2+, which he did make. Not a turnover. The goblin would still actually, since the goblin hadn't already activated, because you want to throw him, and then the goblin wants to run to the end zone,
right? Yeah,
so you don't want to activate him yet. So I think he moved up the ball, and then I started, and I started fucking wailing away.
You really did.
Yeah. I don't think I really did much damage in that first round of hits. I may have knocked some guys over. I kind of really just set up my positioning.
You had a
turn.
nice wedge formation, like you were just covering them in a corner.
Yeah. He has a strength 4 blitzer, which is super nice. Because he's got block built in, and I think at this point he also had shadowing, which is if he was next to a ball carrier, he could on I think it's like a 3+, he could just keep following the ball carrier's movement until he failed, or you do like a competition between your edge rolls or something like that. It's a rare skill, but basically keeps you on that ball carrier has to dodge away every time,
right?
Because he keeps following him. He had the ball, so that didn't really matter.
Yeah.
He ended up with an unlucky skull on something, then turned over to me. He had already used a reroll that turn, which left a blitzer on the sideline.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which I immediately surfed. When you surf, you just do a straight injury roll, no armor, no nothing. And he got a badly hurt on one of his blitzers, so he was out for the rest of the game. Then that turn quickly turned bad. So I started blitzing the goblin. The goblin was always kind of like in an area where I could like knock one guy away or knock another guy away. Goblin's only got strength 2, and I could just run at him with anything and get a 2-die block. Yeah. Over the next couple turns, I knocked him down twice, but failed armor on both. Only armor 7, which means I just need to roll a 7, and with Mighty Blow, that'll break. Stunned him once, and then the KOs started rolling in for the rest of his team. I ended up KOing his Strength 4 Blitzer, another Blitzer, and a Black Orc before it was all over for Mr. Goblin, which I then knocked out that Goblin. And at that point in turn 4...
Did you get any kills from those?
No.
Okay.
No. I got no casualties. They were all just KOs, which is an 8 or a 9.
Didn't you get a badly hurt?
The crowd did that.
Oh, that's
so
right.
I don't get credit for that. So he had 5 guys off the pitch, turn 4 of the first half. I had gotten his guys were clumped up so tight that I was able to, when I finally KO'd the Goblin, I got a push and then another push because everything was so tight. When you have to push someone into a space, you get to move that one guy, and then I got to move another guy. That second guy was the ball carrier, which I got out and hit, and I think that was the last Blitzer KO that I had gotten.
Oh, okay.
So then I got the ball, and at this point he was like, I think I'm done. And he was like, I'm going to let you score a touchdown, and then I'm going to concede. I was like, okay. And I scored a touchdown. I got 3 star player points for that. He conceded the match. I got 2 MVPs, winnings roll, and his winnings roll. So my Black Orc number 3, Garkle Blackfang, got both MVPs, which gave him a skill. He was at 25 star player points. He's now at 35. I proceeded to roll 2d6, which both came up boxcars, 12 double sixes, which is, it's doubles. I can take anything out of his area, but also on 12 you can just choose plus strength. And
I wonder, Jeff, which one did you end up choosing?
I chose plus strength.
Really?
Yeah.
So you now have a 5 strength Black Orc.
Yes. So he's move 4, strength 5, edge 2, armor 9, guard, block, plus strength.
Yeah, so you have a better ogre.
I have a better troll. I would say it advantageously could be either one.
Right.
The troll has Mighty Blow, but he also has really stupid.
Yeah.
But he also has regen.
Yeah.
But now I don't have to. I have strength 5 Black Orc.
Yeah. So you can be like, hey, Black Orc, I'm just gonna come and do a 2-die roll on you now.
Yeah. He's what's not pretty nice is that I have to play Ant in my next round. Unless we keep tradition to where I always just trounce or win somehow. Not always cheating.
But usually.
just most of the time.
It's happened that it'll be Ant's Denva Real Monsters versus the War Bosses. He played his game today. I think he won 1-0, but I don't know other details besides he killed one of the other dudes. I would assume Ant did not take much injury in that one.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because I messed up the guy that he had to play in my last match.
Right.
And Ant also got messed up, and now Ant's at full fucking strength.
Yep.
So.
Well, you're at more than full strength now.
Strength 5.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, that was the world of the Blood Bowl.
I wonder if Ant's just gonna immediately try and kill that guy.
Oh, he's probably gonna follow the shit out of that guy. Ant has 2 strength 5 guys to start with, so I'll have at least equal strength there. But then I have 3 more strength 4 guys on top of that.
Right on.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's seems pretty solid.
Yeah, it's gonna be a solid game. We'll see how it goes. I would generally say Ant is a better player than I am, but I mean, you don't be like number 2 or 4 Norse player in the nation.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, we don't know what your Norse ranking is. Have you played the Norse before?
I mean, yes.
Oh, okay.
Something about the way you said that, Jeff, really makes me want to know, how did that go?
It's fine. It was probably my most played team before, but back in when I used to play.
Okay.
But I probably also did not play as competitive or good people as I do now.
Fair point.
Yes. Yeah.
Right on.
That is the wide world of Blood Bowl.
Congratulations on forcing yet another forfeit.
That it was my 3rd concede.
Yeah, it was your 3rd one, and no one else has conceded to anybody else.
Yeah.
No,
I think
been one other concede.
Oh,
in the new lowest league, I think there's been some concedes this season.
No.
But
I think a lot of them have been scheduling though, whereas Jeff just has people like a few turns in, it's over. You've roughly bumped me a couple of times. Here you go. Have a bunch of shit.
A few turns or in overtime. Like, no.
Yeah, and yep.
If any of you meet Bullshit Paul and you immediately want to put him into a negative mindset, just ask him how he feels.
How do you feel about forfeits in Blood Bowl, Paul?
How do you specifically feel about forfeits to Jeff? we were hanging out. We went out to a friend's birthday party. A little off topic. Well, it's on topic for the Blood Bowl discussion. But we were out Saturday night at a friend, or Friday night at a friend's birthday party, and Paul and Jeff and David were there, and Megan was with me, and so of course Paul, Jeff, Matt, and David all start talking about Blood Bowl, especially because this is right on the heels of this forfeit.
And as is tradition, we get together and talk about Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
That's just what happens.
And so, I'm kind of talking about it because I know a little bit about things that are going on, and they get all into this concede thing, and Paul's getting salty, and the conversation kind of starts to die off from Blood Bowl, and Matt turns to Megan and he goes, so Megan, when are you going to start it? Or what team are you playing next season? She goes, I'm going to play Goblins, but all I'm going to do is concede to Jeff. And the look on Paul's face was just, oh my God. Moments like that just reaffirm how much Megan is like the perfect woman for me. She is amazing, and I really appreciate things like that. It's awesome. Just awesome.
Indeed.
So, yeah, that's Bloody Minute. Let's
I just Adrian's perfect woman is somebody who just concedes to Jeff.
I was gonna go with my perfect woman is someone who, digs at Paul a little bit, but sure, concedes to Jeff in Blood Bowl. In Blood Bowl. But right on. That wraps all that up. We got back to playing games, and now episodes are gonna be long again. So, on to some news and Kickstarter.
Oh God. Tomorrow's going to suck.
Indeed. As everyone knows, following a Bloody Minute starts the news. In the first thing of news, Z-Man acquires Love Letter. I didn't know you could just buy a game from someone, but apparently they have.
I mean, I buy games from people all the time.
To be fair.
Somebody threw something at him.
Sorry, it's just the way he worded that. I was like, I can't not.
I guess they just bought all of the rights of Love Letter from whoever.
AEG.
AEG sold off Love Letter to be handed off to Z-Man.
And one of the other things I think is interesting is that not only do they sell the rights for like future Love Letter, they are going to be distributing the entire remaining inventory.
Okay.
Fuck this game.
Just whip it out a car window at their front door.
It's your problem now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
definitely one of those core games a lot of people learn.
Indeed. I'm curious what kind of inspired, because they have quotes here from both AEG and from Z-Man. And they both seem really positive about it. And so I don't know. I'm kind of curious what actually prompted AEG to sell Love Letter, considering I feel like that's got to be one of their like more successful games.
I'm sure it is.
Unless maybe it's gotten to a point where sales have slowed down enough and Z-Man feels they can do enough with it that it's worth it for them to buy it, and AEG's like, it's not quite worth it for us to just keep developing reskins. I don't know.
They just put enough zeros on the end of that check.
That could also be the case.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Z-Man, which is owned by Asmodee, the next bit of news is interesting.
Indeed. Asmodee, or the equity company that owns Asmodee, is looking to potentially sell Asmodee.
Yeah. So Reuters basically got a hold that
Reuters?
Is that how you actually say that?
That's how I say it.
I have never heard that actually pronounced.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
Well, now you know you've been wrong.
I'm not sure I have. The way you said that's how I say it makes me not sure if that's how you actually
That's
say
how
it.
I've heard it.
Okay.
On the National Public Radio.
So Reuters, today I learned,
Mm-hmm.
posted a blurb about this, where essentially the company Eurazio, I don't know, they have been shopping it, and they are currently valuing it at $1.7 billion US, 1.5 billion euros.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, That's a ton of money.
From what I was reading is that they have clearly valued their company way too high.
Yeah, a lot of people think that it seems a bit much.
A lot.
Yeah. So
Well, I remember seeing something saying that their revenue is like 100 or 120 million euros each year. So,
But this was, I think, what was always coming because it's just it seems like they are just buying up everyone they can buy and then are looking to get a big paycheck.
Yeah. Because they
to
were
whoever they're going to sell to.
Yeah, and they're aggressively expanding. They like you said, they bought a bunch of people and they expanded a lot too.
But is the value of this company just because they spent a lot of money on other people's valuable companies?
Yeah, but I mean, like some of these companies, like how valuable is Mayfair really?
Yeah.
Like when Mayfair hasn't really produced anything recently.
But a lot of these other companies.
And in a lot of these cases, we don't know how much Asmodee actually paid to acquire some of these companies.
Yes. And then we don't know, like, they might be taking into account things that are coming out in the future and stuff like that. So
yeah.
It's interesting.
They could be coming out with a €1 billion game.
Yeah, and like the
Gloomhaven 2.
Yeah, exactly.
the
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Jesus. The BGG thread is full of like, alarmist bullshit. Because like I don't like somebody apparently messaged W. Eric Martin about posting this because, as they said, quote, there's an article that's stating that Asmodee is preparing to sell itself to a larger company. Please print this as it negatively affects our industry as a whole. I don't know why Asmodee selling negatively necessarily affects anything. Like, in theory, probably whoever buys it is going to be another investment firm, just like the investment firm that's been running them as successfully as Asmodee's been running. I guess maybe they could get bought by somebody who
wants to micromanage them. Yeah, I think that would be the only way it could negatively affect them.
Yeah, but I can't imagine that anybody who's buying Asmodee, who can afford to buy Asmodee, is somebody who cares to micromanage a board game company.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but even with Asmodee being as big as they are and all of the games they have, if Asmodee does die and all their games disappear, there's still plenty of other games to play. There's a lot of games that aren't Asmodee, so it's not...
might not be some of your favorites.
Yeah. And if Asmodee, whoever buys them runs them into the ground, the rights to the games will still be around, and somebody will acquire them if they're good.
And then lock them in a vault so no one can ever play them.
Yes, that's what I would do.
Just like video games and intellectual property rights.
Yeah, hooray! So, we'll see. There's not a lot of information on this, so it might not even go anywhere. They might just be trying to get a valuation for some other reason. Who knows?
Indeed.
More to come if that becomes a more major news thing.
Next up on news, CMON is making a board game based on a Netflix show. That Netflix show being Narcos.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch that at all?
No.
I have not watched Narcos.
I watched the first season and it was great.
I've heard good things. I have heard of it.
Yeah. And I know like the first 2 seasons are about Pablo Escobar.
And now they're going on. Then they're like they told that story, and now they're going to do other stuff.
3 and 4 are the other cartels and stuff like that. But this one is I remember when they first announced it, a decent amount of people were like, "What?" Like,
right?
That's not a game. That's not a property where you would think there would be a board game based around it,
right?
This is based on El Patron.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard of this crime lord before.
El Patron is also Pablo Escobar.
Okay,
so one person plays as El Patron, and then the remaining players lead hunter factions, aka the DEA, Policía Nacional de Colombia, the Cali Cartel, and a guerrilla extremist group. And so they are united in their common interest to discover the hidden position of El Patron, sharing information and discussing strategies. If El Patron completes secret objectives without being captured, they win. If the hunters uncover his location, they succeed and win. So kind of a hidden movement.
Yeah, it's a hidden movement game, yeah.
It's really that replacement for Fury of Dracula we've all been waiting for.
Yes. More palatable theme.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, nothing like some drug running.
Yeah. Do we know, what was it, Phil Barros and Renato Sostelli? Do we know anything that they've done?
Not
top of your head?
offhand.
Okay. Well, this one's going to be, it looks like it'll be released at the end of the year.
Yep.
And it doesn't look like it's going to be a Kickstarter or anything like that.
Nope. And MSRP or a SRP of $54.99.
Okay.
I don't know if there's actually a difference between an MSRP or an SRP. I feel like there isn't. But
We may never know.
The CMON Expo, which was yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
they had firsthand knowledge. Like people were able to try it out there,
Gotcha.
apparently, or at least
Yeah.
see it. So
interesting.
I mean, I'm interested. I know I was interested in the Godfather game when that came out.
Yeah.
And I've heard good things about it. So
Crime games.
yes.
All the hotness.
Mm-hmm.
Those two designers you mentioned, Zach,
Yeah.
their only listed game is Narcos on
Okay.
BGG.
Which obviously that isn't. It's not a bad thing or anything like that.
True.
But so basically we just get to see what they're made of.
Mhm.
True. Speaking of cool mini or not, next up on news.
Announced today-ish, a game from Eric Lang and Rob Davio is Death May Die.
Yes, so this will be the latest ridiculous minis game from CMON and Eric Lang with a Cthulhu theme. Huzzah!
Hooray!
So my excitement is just through the roof for this game.
Yeah.
Just really excited.
I mean, it all says art by Adrian Smith. As
Now,
per
to be
usual.
fair,
Yeah.
I do like Adrian Smith's art. That aside,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, nothing could disinterest me more than an Eric Lang Cthulhu game.
Yeah, it's gonna be area control, asymmetrical powers.
Although
I
this
don't know
one
if it's
is
gonna be
a
that or not.
co-op.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of information about the game itself.
Other than it'll be brutally hard.
Yeah, which somebody who actually isn't my alter ego pointed out that neither of these designers has a proven track record for good co-op games, which I don't know. I liked XCOM from Eric Lang. So this is interesting to see what they'll cook up. Otherwise, brutally hard will just essentially mean random. Hopefully that isn't the case and there's actually more game there that makes it hard. I feel like Rob Davio, I mean, he's worked on Legacy Season 1 and 2, which granted they come from Pandemic, which is already proven co-op, so
Yeah, and I mean, and then it was Betrayal, and then Seafall. Yeah, his only. Well, I mean, he's probably worked on other co-ops that we can't think of, but
Mountains of Madness.
which we haven't played, Jeff.
Indeed. Maybe I'll bring it to Geekway. I've heard that Jamie Stegmeyer wants to play that game.
You should tweet at him and be like, "I've got it, brah.
I got you.
I got you, eh?"
Anyway,
Or is I got you, fam?
I got you, fam.
I
I think it's probably better.
What? I don't.
Just tweet at him.
No.
I got you, fam.
I don't want to do that.
Yes.
Anyway, for those of you who know mini companies, apparently Studio McVeigh is doing the minis for this. I'm not really familiar with.
They
Studio
do
McVeigh.
pretty much
all of them.
all of CMON
Yeah.
stuff. Okay.
for the majority of them, yeah. But recently, like all of the Eric Lang ones.
They all look like those good ass minis in Rising Sun and
Yeah.
Blood Rage.
Okay.
There's a link to Beasts of War where they had a video of it, but they have some pictures of the minis and
Yeah.
they look good.
Yeah, and I know I've seen a lot of other things pop up around the interweb recently of people out there at the CMON Expo talking to Eric Lang and stuff, and little tidbits here and there that are still pretty scattered. I'm sure CMON will be dropping a Kickstarter date soon, because I don't think there's any way this doesn't go to Kickstarter. Eric Lang minis, Adrian Smith art,
Yeah.
so we'll see. Yeah. Next up on news.
Next up on news, the artist from Scythe, Jakub Razalski, gonna go ahead and say that's what it is.
I mean, that looks about right.
Is apparently tracing too much.
Accused.
Yeah.
Certainly accused. So this kind of blew up, not quite a week ago.
A month-ish for like the original Reddit thread and stuff like that.
The one over on
Concept.
On concept
Our
art.
concept art.
Yeah. So it first came
Oh.
out there, and then eventually, about a week ago, got linked to Board Game Geek. Or
Right.
not the board game subreddit.
right, which is where then it really kind of blew
Yes.
for the industry. Like, turns out maybe not a lot of people in concept art are board gamers.
Yeah.
But there's the main thread on the board game subreddit links over to that concept art thread where somebody went through and basically found a bunch of images of art from him and compared them to existing art, and it really seems like they're real similar. There's definitely a lot of people are saying he straight up traces them. And people are pretty pissed about it. And then Jamie Stegmeyer dropped in and
Drop
gave
the truth bomb.
his perspective,
Yes,
certainly.
yes.
But a really level-headed response, I think, considering that like one of Jamie's biggest games is based on art from this guy, and so like a lot of people would get real defensive real quick if they felt like it was something that could hurt them.
But it didn't feel like it didn't feel defensive.
No,
So-
like Jamie, it was a really excellent thing where he went through and was basically like, hey, yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but artists use references.
Which I believe Jakub has said.
That's what he claims
Yeah.
that this all is that it's reference stuff. I mean, some of it is close in my opinion, but I'm not an artist, so I don't know. And apparently this wasn't the first time he's been accused of art issues, so it's hard to really say.
I mean, there are examples of some pretty clear, like photos from World War I that are pretty much just the picture. But I mean, there is some art over that.
Yeah. So the main thing is it looks like Jamie was like talked with Jakub about crediting any ones where he used them as reference, like images as references and stuff like that in the future and now, I guess.
Yeah, going back as much as he can.
Yeah.
But yeah. The thread over on concept art got into accusations, like, because Jakub does a lot of, or I think it's actually Jakub, but
Jakub, yeah.
he does a lot of like tutorials and stuff that talks about like how he does things, and they were accusing them of all of those of being like reverse engineered. So he's faking these tutorials and not actually doing it this way, and I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
Some of it looks pretty suspicious to me. But at the same time, I don't want to throw somebody under the bus if it really is just references and like he can just look at a picture and then draw it that well.
Yeah.
Next to it,
I do like that. He said, Jamie said, fourth part of the assertion is that he is a hack because he traced some animals in picture. Trace is a bit of a misnomer. You asked me to trace a photo of a tiger. It wouldn't look anything close to Jakub's illustration.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like how someone said like it would take me 3 days to respond in such a balanced, intelligent way, but Jamie locked it down in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that I think this response is pretty damning proof of what I've suspected all along. Jamie has a time machine. He has been in this timeline at this point in history before and has thought about this response for months, maybe years. How else could he possibly have nailed it so quickly? Open your eyes to the truth, people.
Yeah. And his favorite game is Time Stories, so not a coincidence.
Case closed.
Correct.
Yeah.
I do really appreciate, like Jamie did give a great level-headed response about it, which, I mean, I don't think shocked anyone. Jamie's a pretty level-headed guy from what I understand in my brief interactions with him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, we'll see. I haven't really heard much about it since then, so this might be one of those things that just water under the bridge, move right along. Jeff, did you get any updates or anything about it regarding that video game that is based around Scythe and all of that artwork?
No, they haven't said anything really about that. But I mean, the game just sort of uses that universe as reference. It's not really.
Yeah, which I think even a lot of Scythe's art is just based on, or inspired by his art. So even a lot of Scythe's art itself isn't necessarily subject to this.
Oh, the original art and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I only did see one other reference that was Jakub replying to Jamie somewhere about this guy that made this post has been coming after him for years with this. So it might be like his post in general isn't. He might have
on
some
the up and up. He's got an agenda.
Yeah. It seems like he has an agenda, and it could be real, but it's definitely been something that's been around for a while. It seems, and not so much something that's just popping up now. Yeah, I vaguely remember seeing something like that, but could not find it again. So yeah,
I know.
Art's hard.
It is. So I don't know. More information if it comes out. If not, maybe nothing comes of this.
Yeah.
If you do art, be honest about how and where and whatnot.
How you do it and what
techniques you use, if it's references or whatnot. Don't copy other people's art. Intellectual property is important.
It is, unless you ask permission.
Correct.
Like
proper attribution.
Like our logo.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
which is funny to see it pop up in other places. Like a friend of mine in Ohio had it for like a similar background, was on like some EDM festival in Ohio. It was like, that looks familiar.
Next up in news is all the Spiel
Happier
DR
news, yes.
Yeah, all the Spiel DR stuff is out, and Wolfgang Warsch sure has a three-fer.
Three-fer?
Yeah.
Yes. He's got 1 in Spiel and 2 in Kennerspiel. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yep. So we'll start with Spiel nominees. Spiel DR nominees this year are Azul by Michael Kiesling, Luxor by Rudger Dorn, and The Mind by Wolfgang Warsch.
Is Luxor based on that Flash game from way back when?
I do not know.
I doubt
Do you know what I'm
it.
talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
I doubt it.
Okay.
It's kind of like weird, bejeweled, sort of.
Of those, I have not played Luxor. I'm not really familiar with it. Both Azul and The Mind, I think, are fantastic. Personally, I'm not sure who's going to win. Part of me wants to say Azul, but Azul can get kind of mean, and I feel like Spiel tends to shy away from that because of their like goal of like family gaming. So they might go with The Mind, but I don't know. We'll see. What do you guys think for Spiel?
I haven't played Azul. I really like The Mind. I think Luxor's pretty new or very limited release in America.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't surprise me. What about you, Zach? You've played both Azul and The Mind.
Yeah, I feel like Azul might take it.
Okay.
Do
you agree with that? Like, if you were the deciding vote of these three.
I mean, I thought Azul was okay. I do like The Mind better.
Okay.
But I don't know. I like you said, it is definitely I feel like that's the more traditional. Like that's the problem is that it's like Azul is clearly the more traditional game, but like in the past couple of years, they've definitely chosen some that aren't the ones you think. Like Exit winning over
Terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
Luxor's Kickstarter fulfillment for North America will start in July.
Okay.
So, but it is out in Germany.
Right, yeah.
Hence it being on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But it seems like a lot of people think it's going to be Azul.
Yeah, that'd be my pick.
I've seen Azul like everywhere. So,
next for the Kennerspiel, the nominees are Ganz schon clever by Wolfgang Warsch, Heaven and Ale by Michael Kiesling, and Die Quacksalber von Quedlinburg.
So what it was is that I was thinking it's Michael Kiesling that has a twofer. That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, Michael Kiesling does also have a twofer.
That's what I was thinking of.
Oh shit, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, no wonder I like both those games.
Well, that's why I was like, why are they referencing Wolf? I don't know what either of these games are.
Also, Quacksalber is charlatan in German.
Okay.
You're making
the charlatan of Quedlinburg?
Possibly. You're making potions. So
okay.
Yeah.
It's
only one of these I've heard of is Heaven and Ale.
Yes.
And you've played that.
I have played Heaven and Ale a couple times. I do really like Heaven and Ale. I think it's got some really interesting things going on there with the way you lay out your board and then the action selection going around. I was just recently talking to a guy, Sven, who I met in the area. I played their game that is going to be on the German version of Kickstarter called Tudor.
Right.
I was talking to him about that, and then we were chatting a little bit about this. And he's from Germany, and he said that both Clever and Quacksalber are pretty good, and that we should check them out if we ever have a chance.
I know Brandon from What Do We Play This Week. I've seen him play Clever a lot on Twitter and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's a roll and write.
Oh, okay.
And I seem to remember that. I remember like the background of the cover has the sort of the sheet on it.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a lot of those, and a lot of tweets of basically, God damn it, I didn't win again. I need to do it one time.
Right on. Two other recommendations for Kennerspiel were Clank and Pioneers, and other nominations or other recommendations for the Spiel DR were 5-Minute Dungeon, Face Cards, Majesty for the Realm, Memoir, Santorini, and Woodlands. Which is funny, like we've been playing Santorini for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's just now like showing up in Germany enough to be on the Spiel list.
Yeah.
But
I know, like you said, me and Jeff, we have not played any of those three. So
no.
I don't know. And I've heard I've definitely heard some mixed opinions with Heaven and Ale, so I don't know. But
right. Yeah. No idea what to pick there. And then aside from those, for the first time since 2010, they gave out a special award recognizing Pandemic Legacy Season 2. So that
It'll just have a special award thing.
yes.
Mhm.
Which
I forget what it was called, but
yeah. So congrats to all the nominees, and we will update when we find out who actually won.
Kenner comes out first, right? Isn't it like they
Well, I think
That-
Kinder is first.
the kid one was? Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
thought it was
then-
Kenner
I
first.
don't. Well, I think they come out real close. I guess they
Or
actually
maybe
they
both-
actually say right here.
June 11th.
Yeah, and then the Spiel and Kenner will be announced July 23rd. So yes,
Okay.
Kinder is first on July 11th, and then July 23rd they will announce Spiel DR and Kenner Spiel. So yeah, we'll be talking to you again in July about these.
For sure.
Thus wraps up news.
Which there was a lot of it.
Yes,
A lot of stuff to talk about.
indeed.
On to Kickstarters. First up on Kickstarters is Penny Lane. This one is well funded, 18.8 thousand of its $15,000 goal. 532 backers, but only about a week left to pledge this one, which you can for $22 for the regular edition or $29 for the deluxe edition.
Yes. So Penny Lane comes from the same people who brought Mintworks and Mint Delivery. And in Penny Lane, they're kind of following a similar thread where it's small and like it's not going to be quite as small as like the Mintworks games, the Mint games that are in like a mint tin. But this one you're going to play with like pennies. So you'll.
All I know is that the game has to take place pretty decently far in the past because pennies actually get you something in this game.
Right. And it comes with penny tokens.
Yeah.
So you're not using like pennies, but
I mean, you could, and then just get that
True.
nice penny smell all over your hands.
Mm.
Copper.
Yeah.
Dirty copper.
Zinc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so this is a worker placement game for 2 to 4 players where you're going to be building up your own little street. So it's got kind of a tableau building element to it. And it's basically divided into 2 phases for each round. There's an action phase and then an upkeep phase. During the action phase, you take actions by spending pennies on the main street actions, and then you do the effects of that card, which could be like purchasing a building or moving citizens around, rearranging buildings, things like that. And then there's the upkeep phase where for the base, everybody gets 1 penny during upkeep. And then as you build your streets out, you can sometimes streets will have like a half a penny on one edge and a half penny on a different card. And if you can match those up, you can earn extra pennies during that upkeep phase.
Did you ever play Seventh Continent or anything like that?
Yes.
You did?
Like once.
Okay, well, that matching up things reminds me of how you match up stars in that game.
Oh, yeah.
For doing tests and stuff like that. I think on the board it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Although it's like the ones where it's like half a penny and that's it. You're like, I need
Twitch.
and just push those a little bit closer.
Especially because there's also like victory point ones too. So you get like weird spots all throughout the board where things seem to not match up because, hey, they don't. You didn't build your city very well. But I really like the art style for this, the way they drew the buildings out, and like it looks like you're building a street, and there's buildings on both sides of the street. Which, judging by the way the art is on this, unless the cards are double-sided, then I think you're like certain buildings can only go on the top, and certain ones can only go on the bottom.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Which would make it tricky to even trickier to line up those buildings in a useful manner. Yeah, I really like the tableau building thing. And I'm always down for a worker placement, and I think they've done a good job. I haven't played Mint Delivery yet. I don't know. I didn't end up backing that one.
I think it was just Paul.
And I don't know.
I got Mint Delivery.
Oh, you
Okay,
did?
has it delivered?
No, soonish.
Okay.
Soonish.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be in mint condition.
But I enjoy Mintworks. I don't get to play it very often. You know, we played it a little bit when we got it.
I think for me it was just like you could definitely feel the sort of like the game sort of expired or anything like I felt like I played the game enough. Like I've played the game now.
Yes.
It didn't have that much variety.
No.
or replayability?
You know, it was definitely a first design, and I think
Yeah.
trying to cram it into
No,
just
no.
a mint tin kind
Yeah.
of hurt in that regard. I'm curious how mint delivery,
Mm-hmm.
how that feels. It would have been nice to maybe get to play that before I had to make a decision about Penny Lane, because Penny Lane looks really cool. It does seem to be more of a game. Like, these are tarot-sized cards, so it's definitely not fitting in a mint tin.
Unless you really fold those cards
Oh,
down.
God.
Yeah, put some real good creases in
Yeah.
there.
I love me some creased cards.
And yeah, I don't know. It looks cool. Comes in a nice little small box, and I've liked their other games well enough.
Yeah.
That I'd be interested in this as another. You know, it's another one. Like, if it plays interestingly enough, if the worker placement's good and the tableau building's good, you know, it's 15 minutes a player.
Yeah.
You know, so playing this in an hour, a quick little hour game at game night. You know,
No, I get. Yeah,
if
yeah.
it actually ended up being an hour,
Right.
if it's really 15 minutes a person. You know,
I mean, I get how math works. I gotcha.
you know, I'm never sure.
I
with you,
gotcha,
Zach.
fam.
Oh.
I don't understand you millennials.
You're one of us, Jeff. Whether you
One of
acknowledge it
us.
or not.
One of us.
Kubel gobble. But yeah, that's Penny Lane. So check that out if you're looking for a quick little
Yeah.
worker placement game.
They yeah, like you said, they've built up enough goodwill that it definitely looks. I would want to try this one out.
And I would recommend the deluxe edition because it looks like the regular will not come with stretch goals or anything like that as well.
Okay.
Next,
I was gonna say, especially for $7 more.
yeah, I mean, it's always worth it.
Yeah.
Next up on Kickstarter is Streets of Steel. This one is just a bit above funded, a $39,000 of its $32,000 goal, 624 backers, and about 3 weeks left to go, which you can for a bunch of different monies, $40 to $110.
Depending if you want minis or not.
Minis or standees,
And I feel like
or minis or standees, or minis and standees.
yes. And
This game is Streets of Rage.
yeah, it's literally a side scroller.
It is literally a side scroller. There is a character with fucking roller skates on, and then there is a ex-wrestler mayor.
Mayor Van Damage.
Yes. This is clearly not the IP for Streets of Rage, but this is clearly Streets of Ass Rage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ass rage. The best kind of rage.
Indeed.
And honestly,
You're well aware of that,
Yeah.
aren't you, Adrian?
We're not talking about this.
And honestly, I think I would go for the standees over the minis
Oh, yeah.
because the standees are super retro style. Like
The-
they fit the theme, whereas the minis are like, it's a mini where it just looks like a regular mini, and
It
it's
looks like a dude.
yeah, it looks like a dude. And I'm like, oh, I like the idea of especially because all the art is very much that arcade
Pixel
side
art.
Yeah, pixel art
Yeah.
from
Well, and then I'm a little nervous too, because like looking through here, you know, and this is always one of my red flags for minis and stuff. They don't have any actual sculpts. They don't even have like a like intro sculpt. Like this is clearly all digital
Sculpts.
sculpts. They're not. Nobody's actually made one of these. You know, like that's one thing I will give credit. Like CMON, when they run theirs, they actually post pictures of like the demo sculpt, so you can see that they match.
I mean, I will say,
There's some in the video there, but it's pretty grainy.
I mean,
like the
Those
picture.
are probably actual minis.
Yeah, the pictures on here, like the dice don't look like actual dice; they look like pictures of dice. And same with like everything just looks like pictures
Yeah.
of whatever it is, you know, visual representations of it. But no, that like the minis they look like you said, they look like the minis of it.
But yes, they're much like weird, realistic representations of the characters, like weird Super Mario Brothers the movie versus
Yeah, exactly.
the video game.
Uh,
But the mechanics seem cool, so it's,
I mean, the box looks really cool too.
yeah, yeah, everything about it looks really cool. The mechanic is an actual like side scroller, so there's like rectangular street pieces that will be moving off the edge,
Mhm.
and you don't want to be off the edge or you die. But that will spawn new items and characters and enemies as the screen scrolls over.
Yeah, and where you are position wise matters, columns, rows, lanes, and stuff like that. The question is there going to be whole chickens for us to eat?
There better fucking be. Oh my god. Like that's the like fucking trash chickens, man. It's even worse in Castlevania. There's a whole fucking turkey in a wall. And that's your only food source in all of Castle Dracula. He only eats whole cooked turkeys.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely remember playing like that side scroller. Like things you say bring up memories, like whole chicken food for health. But it
Trash
doesn't.
apples.
It doesn't have the same like nostalgia feel for me. And I'm not really sure much about how the game plays other than that side scrolling mechanism. Like I'm not sure how you actually do the fighting and the moving. And
Well, there's 4 different characters, and they all have the different.
they've got stats across the top.
And then you roll dice. You're rolling dice for attack and stuff like that. So, and there are ways to manipulate them, I think. But.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's bosses and things that'll come out, and
Like that boss Muty standee versus miniature is like not even close.
no. Yeah. I don't know. I think it looks pretty interesting. I'd be down to try it. Not sure it's one I care to super own. I see down here at the bottom. Apparently he never talked about this in the Slack channel, but Eric from What's Eric Playing reviewed it. So you can go over to what'sericplaying.com and track down his review of it. He says, at least in the blurb here, that he's had a lot of fun with it and recommends trying it out. So
I really feel like he missed something. Could have been like, I would recommend walking down the street or something like that.
oh geez.
Indeed. But yeah, you've got 3 weeks. You want to take a look at that one.
Plenty of time to look at it and check out all the stuff they've got.
Next up on the wide world of Kickstarter is 1 week Ultimate Werewolf.
If you think one night's too quick, but like regular werewolf is too long,
Mm-hmm.
just a nice week, half a fortnight.
Indeed.
Should have been half a fortnight Ultimate Werewolf.
Oh God. Do you have some hot stats for us, Jeff?
It is very well funded. 46,000 of its $10,000 goal. 625 backers. A little bit less than a month to pledge this one, which you can for $45. That's a lot for any of those kind of games.
But I think this one is more.
This is much more of a game,
Yeah.
I think, than a lot of those other ones have been.
This one you're investigating for a whole week to do the one vote.
And so in this one, you still have roles, but there's rooms that you move through that help you investigate by letting you do like a unique ability, and then at night you interact with other players that are in just that room. Yeah, it's
There's a sitting room.
With this,
the blurb,
the picture.
the toilet.
Iron Throne is right there.
Oh. From that angle, I couldn't really see what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. There's like staff and player markers, and like you have your pieces that fit into those, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
All the rooms have different abilities, and they might not all be in every room. So there's always the foyer, and allows the first person there each day to determine who the start player is and direction of play. Then there's other things like sitting room. There's no special powers there. It's just boring. Kitchen allows you to pick up any played cards. Secret passage takes you to other rooms, things like that. It's interesting. I
think I would rather try this one over One Night.
Yeah, I didn't really care for One Night.
That one, obviously, like I felt like I only played like 1 or 2 games of it, and it honestly was people I didn't really like playing games with.
Yeah, that'll happen sometimes.
But it felt too much just deduction of like, oh well, we're just gonna figure out who the werewolf is, and then I ended up having that because somebody passed it to me, and I was like, as someone who likes logic a lot, I was like, oh, I can't deny their logic that I'm the werewolf, so okay, I lose. It's like, so having more of a game attached to that seems like it could be better.
I guess like I fall in this weird zone. Like I never wanted werewolf but shorter, so I didn't get One Night.
Yeah.
And I've never wanted werewolf but gamier, so I don't really get 1 week.
Well, I mean, in response to like between these two, I'd rather do 1 week, but
I guess
for 45 minutes to an hour, I'd rather just play werewolf or Secret Hitler or Resistance or any of those.
Yeah. I think it's interesting as well. Like Bezier is a pretty well-known like game company who has a lot of experience with this, and a lot of their rooms that are coming in the base set still have just placeholder art.
I mean, I've seen a decent amount of Kickstarter things have that.
I've seen it, but I see it less and less with like established companies that should have their shit together before they launch a Kickstarter.
I mean, I don't think you necessarily need to have every single art piece. Like maybe that it's getting finished like a week or 2 into the Kickstarter or something like that. if everything was a placeholder or everything, like if it was only just a couple, like as long as it's only like a couple of them or something like that, then I'm usually okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, whether or not you get this game, is that going to depend on what the observatory art looks like?
It very well may.
And if you want to pay $300, you can get literally all of their games.
So many games.
Just a whole lot of Bezier.
Yeah.
Yep.
1 week Ultimate Werewolf. If you want a little bit more game to your werewolf.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Go check it out.
And that's it for Kickstarters.
That is indeed it for Kickstarters. Moving right along, we did get a new email for Jeff.
Indeed. Emails at milehighgameguys.com if you would like to send us an email.
If you really want to send Jeff an email.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, other people.
That's how you interact with Jeff, is through the emails.
Yeah.
BGG is to me, and then yelling into the air is for Adrian.
Just like Adrian does to himself.
Yes.
For communication.
I yell into the air a lot.
He does.
This email is from Craig.
No subject.
No subject.
Mystery email.
I mean, he may have just typed no subject in there. We might never know. Hey, MHG guys.
I do love whenever people do that.
Uh-huh. How's life?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Enjoying it.
It was raining today.
It
It was rainy. And then it got really sunny.
And then it hailed some other places.
Yes.
Yeah. Pray Denver spring weather.
Yeah. It's Craig from New York.
Hi, Craig. I'm going to stop doing that.
Just wanted to pop in with a quick reply to Jonathan's email from last week when he referred to Buffalo as South Canada. I like that we're starting beef between listeners.
Yeah.
I
do like that we're just like, this guy said this. And then another guy comes up, he's like, he said what? Fuck him.
Well, I feel like we've stumbled onto the secret to getting emails is just pitting our listeners against one another until we eventually have enough listeners to have a Thunderdome.
Who do we pit Australia against? New Zealand? Do they hate each other? Do we have any New Zealand listeners?
I don't know.
Well, I just want to let them know all of our Australian listeners hate you.
Right.
They make so much fun of you.
We just don't read them.
Yeah.
Because they're just too
They're
bad.
too much. Yeah, we
too bad.
can't do it.
Craig continues. The only thing keeping Canadians from coming south en masse, raping and killing everyone. That's what I've heard about the Canadians.
Yes. They're known for their raiding and pillaging.
Yes. Are the good men and women of Buffalo holding the line, wielding whatever weapons we have available, oftentimes just a fistful of bare chicken wing bones and bottles of American beer, which is like holy water to those savages.
So my favorite thing so far about this email is we started off joking about how we pit the two New Yorkers against each other, and then Craig is immediately like, fuck Canada.
Yeah. I'm sure.
And so now all our Canadian listeners,
Indeed.
like, I really hope that we keep this trend alive of like, you said what about us? Those other guys, they're the bad ones.
Yeah, we're just the messengers.
As far as Buffalo being buried under a glacier, well, yeah, that part is pretty accurate. But I also want to defend my place as your first New York listener. I guess Jonathan has an email he sent you during your Lisboa giveaway, and that's adorable. My first email I sent you guys was from your 50th episode last June, but I've been a listener for far longer than that. Last June was when I became a supporter on Patreon. I feel like I was one of your first, and I would have given only $1, but I have too much respect for you guys, and quite frankly, for myself.
Mainly himself.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and Craig is correct. He was one of our first patrons. He was number 7, which is my favorite number. So he's got that going for him. And I lived near Buffalo for a while. Lived in Schenectady.
And I like buffalo wings, so
They are delicious.
Hence him with the fistful of bare chicken wing bones at all times. Craig continues. Anyway, just had to clear that all up. Your first New York listener, Craig.
See, now was when I really hope that someone comes out of the woodwork and they're like, nuh-uh, I'm from New York, and I remember listening to episode 00 2 days after it debuted.
Why?
I don't think
Why?
we have. I don't know. I don't think we have any friends that are from New York. I know. Maybe Christina listened to it. That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, I don't remember the first time we got a listener outside of Colorado.
I don't know.
I should have been paying more attention. Made a big deal about it.
And not outside of Colorado that is not family members.
True. That's fair.
But I can guarantee 0 of my family members have listened to this show.
Are you ashamed, Jeff?
I had to explain to them what a podcast was.
So there's like a whole couple levels that.
Yeah, there's a lot of education
You gotta
needed.
get there.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Yes. That's it for emails.
That is indeed it for emails. If you want to send emails for Jeff to read, you can do so.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com
Is the email address that you would send those emails to. Moving right along, there was also a BGG response from our episode last week of What Makes Games Bad. Zach, do you have that pulled up?
I do. Yeah, this is from Mark. It's Afrikaan Tati, not African Tahiti. It's Finnish for Star of Africa. I giggled every time you said it this episode.
How does it go?
Afrikaan Tati.
Tati.
Tati, yeah.
Okay. Now we know.
Not Tahiti.
Can we
Not
find
Tzatziki either.
Can we find a YouTube video that tells us how to pronounce this?
I mean, I probably could, yeah.
Now we know.
Now we know.
The more you know. But yeah, thanks for clearing that up. I should have known that I was drastically butchering something that was actually Dutch. So we're about to play a video here.
Congratulations on your terrible game.
Yeah, super bad. That wraps up all of the listener feedback for this episode. We will, on Friday, be releasing an episode full of a whole lot more things we'll be hearing from listeners, because that will be episode 95's Put to the Question. So
the bullshit in this episode was just a taste.
Yes.
A taste of what's to come.
Just a tangy, salty flavor.
Yeah, if you're like, if they just couldn't talk about board games for 2+ hours, what would it sound like?
Yeah.
Like a teriyaki sauce.
But yeah, so tune in on Friday for that. By the time the Friday episode drops, we will all be in St. Louis, likely eating Nashville hot chicken at Southern, barbecue at Pappy's, drinking beer at Urban Chestnut, and possibly playing board games at Geekway. Not sure if we have time for that. Too many other things we're going to do in St. Louis.
It means we'd have to leave Southern or any of those other places. Can we somehow get Geekway just in there?
Yeah, right? Can we just have our own Geekway meetup 24/7 at Southern? Just constant Nashville hot fried chicken.
That's where the convention is now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think they're up to code for 3,000 people.
They better expand quickly.
I mean, what? They have 4 days? It's fine.
Well, you know what? We'll give them till Friday.
Okay.
Yes.
Friday afternoon, though, because
Yeah.
you got to get that happy.
Oh, geez. As always, if you would like to get a hold of us, there are a plethora of different ways to do that. You can send us an email, as mentioned earlier.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can join our Board Game Geek Guild, where you can participate in our episode threads or post your own threads or do whatever you want over on Board Game Geek Guild. That's guild number 2731. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram /MileHighGameGuys, and we are all three on Twitter. I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And I am Jeff_MHGG.
Zach threw me with his sultry rendition.
What we were supposed to do is just ignore it and not reference it.
I can't.
That way he never does it again.
And then one of the other best ways to interact with all three of us, as well as a wide number of our other listeners, would be to join our Slack channel. There's a link in the show notes at denvergamenight.com. The Slack channel has been very active lately, and I have been absolutely loving it.
I keep going in it, and I'm like, I have 134 messages I need to catch up on.
And
I have to work and like have hobbies.
A shocking amount of it is mocking me.
Yeah.
The listeners have really picked up on that vibe here in the show.
All right.
So
Maybe I need to get back in there.
Yeah. It seems like that's going to outlive us, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's really going to be the...
You guys I'm fucked. I'm going to move away,
Yeah.
and at some point I'll move to another country. I'll quit board games, and I'll be hanging out some night at a bar, and I'll get a little drunk, and I'll be talking about how I used to be on a podcast. I'll mention the name, they'll look it up, they'll listen, and then I'll start getting mocked in my faraway paradise.
No, what's gonna happen is you're gonna get a little drunk, and then you're gonna see like this bug skittling on the floor, and you'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get that bug," and you slap that bug, it slapped the floor, and someone is gonna be like, "Adrian."
You slap a floor real nice, sir.
Yeah.
Are you by chance Adrian from the Mile High Game Guys? God damn it. Kill me now. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. If you enjoy the content, be sure to go over and help us by helping our sponsor, Gray Fox Games. They have a awesome card game, Superhot, the card game. Originally was a really cool PC game with an interesting time mechanic, where as you moved forward, time moved forward.
As you move, time moves.
Yeah.
And as you don't move,
time freezes.
And bullets and throwing stars and katanas, and it's awesome.
yes. And I'm trying. I don't think I've actually played this one, but I've watched people play it, and it definitely seemed like I was super close to backing the Kickstarter for this.
Yeah. But you complete 3 levels in the card game with increasing difficulty, and unique objectives, and try not to get shot a whole bunch. It's also got different modes of play: solo, co-op, versus, and 2v1. So you can really get into it with Superhot, the card game.
It had a solo nomination for Golden Geek this year.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. I've heard solo wise it was really good.
Yeah. So go check that out over on grayfoxgames.com. Jeff, do you have a prepared statement potentially relating to Gray Foxish things?
Gray Fox Games, quality games, cleverly crafted, as well as one of their other strong quotes here. A strong man doesn't need to read the future. He makes his own.
Nice. Yeah. That wraps up the episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
I'm still Zach.
And I'm Controller Port 2 Jeff.
Bye.
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 Right on. Anything else?
I mean, there's Blood Bowl. But there's always Blood Bowl.
But no, you had a huge list of things you'd written in the corner of the notes that I assumed were like games you needed to play or that you had played.
And I've checked them all off, except the ones that you did.
Oh, that's everybody's list.
Yes.
From pre-show stuff.
Indeed.
You guys are seeing how things work behind the scenes here.
Until
they're hearing.
Yeah. Fair point.
Yeah.
Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.